Major Nathan Reed froze in the doorway of his darkened home, keys suspended in mid-air as the sound cut through the silence, a child's muffled sob coming from upstairs. He'd returned early from deployment expecting joyful reunion, not the bone-chilling weeping of his 6-year-old daughter. "Lily?" he called, taking the stairs 2 at a time, heart hammering against his ribs. His wife Amanda appeared in the hallway, face instantly transforming from shock to rehearsed relief, her bathrobe pulled tight. "Nathan, we weren't expecting you until—" Another whimper interrupted her, unmistakably coming from beneath the bed in Lily's room. Nathan pushed past Amanda, dropped to his knees, and peered into the darkness. 2 terrified blue eyes stared back, clutching something torn and stuffed with folded paper. What had happened to his smiling, talkative little girl in 14 months away? And why was she hiding under her bed at 2 a.m., trembling like a wounded animal? Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments, along with the city you're watching. From now, let's continue with the story. Nathan Reed had never imagined returning home like this. After 14 months in the unforgiving heat of Afghanistan with the Special Forces, he had pictured Lily running into his arms, her blonde curls bouncing as she squealed with delight. Instead, he found himself coaxing his terrified daughter from beneath her bed at 2 a.m., while his wife Amanda hovered in the doorway, her explanations coming too quickly. "She's been having nightmares since you left," Amanda whispered, arms crossed protectively over her silk robe. "The therapist says it's separation anxiety. I was just about to check on her when you arrived." Nathan nodded, not taking his eyes off Lily, who had yet to speak a word. The little girl who once couldn't stop talking about her kindergarten adventures now clutched a ragged teddy bear to her chest, her eyes darting between her father and stepmother. Something was profoundly wrong. Nathan felt it in the pit of his stomach, the same instinct that had kept him alive in combat zones. 3 years ago, Nathan had lost Grace, his high school sweetheart and Lily's mother, to an aggressive cancer that took her within months of diagnosis. The loss had nearly destroyed him, but Lily had given him purpose. Then, at a grief support group, he met Amanda Wells, beautiful, attentive, seemingly perfect with her career in social media marketing and warm smile. Their whirlwind romance had culminated in marriage after only 6 months. Nathan had been desperate to rebuild a family for Lily, and Amanda had seemed like an answered prayer. The suburban home in Oak Ridge, Virginia, looked different now. When he'd left, it had been filled with Lily's artwork on the refrigerator and toys scattered across the living room floor. Now everything was immaculate. Designer pillows perfectly arranged on the couch, no fingerprints on the glass coffee table, no evidence of a child's presence except in the designated playroom. The house felt like a model home, not a place where people actually lived. "I made some changes while you were away," Amanda said, following his gaze around the spotless kitchen. "I've become quite popular on Homestyle. My organization videos have over 1 million views now." Nathan nodded absently, watching Lily pick at her breakfast the next morning. She hadn't spoken a single word to him yet, not even "Daddy." The bubbly child who'd waved goodbye to him at the airport had vanished, replaced by this silent ghost who flinched at sudden movements. Next door, elderly Martha Henderson watered her roses, eyeing the Reed house with unconcealed concern. Martha had taught elementary school for 43 years before retiring, and something about that child's behavior set off every alarm bell in her experienced mind. But who would listen to an old woman's worries in a neighborhood obsessed with privacy and perfect appearances? Nathan spent his first day home watching. Military training had taught him the value of observation before action, and something in this house required careful study. He noticed how Lily's eyes tracked Amanda's movements across rooms, how his daughter's shoulders tensed when Amanda approached, how Amanda's voice changed, honeyed in his presence, clipped when she thought he wasn't listening. "She's been through a lot with you gone," Amanda explained as they unpacked his duffel bags. Children act out when they feel abandoned. The child psychologist said it's normal. Which psychologist? Nathan asked, folding his desert camo uniform for storage. Amanda hesitated. Dr. Reynolds, at the family center. She said selective mutism can develop after trauma, like you being deployed. Nathan nodded, filing away the name. Something didn't add up. Lily had handled his previous deployments with resilience. Grace had prepared her well, creating countdown calendars and nightly video messages. This was different. That night after dinner, Nathan sat beside Lily's bed. "I missed you so much, Lily Pad," he whispered, using the nickname Grace had given her. He pulled out a small wooden elephant he'd bought in a market overseas. "This is for you." The vendor said elephants never forget their families, no matter how far apart they are. Lily took the elephant, running her fingers over its carved surface. Then, with deliberate movements, she reached under her pillow and pulled out a folded piece of paper, a drawing. Nathan unfolded it carefully. A crude crayon illustration showed 3 figures, a tall soldier in green, a small blonde girl, and between them a woman with angry red scribbles crossing out her face. Nathan's blood ran cold. "Lily, who is this?" he asked gently, pointing to the angry red figure. Lily's eyes darted to the door, then back to Nathan. She didn't speak, but her tiny hand gripped his wrist with surprising strength. "Is this Amanda?" he whispered. Lily didn't nod, but her eyes filled with tears. Nathan felt something break inside him. He had been trained to detect threats in the most hostile environments on Earth, yet he'd missed a danger in his own home. "I'm not going anywhere," he promised, tucking the drawing into his pocket. "Not ever again." The next morning, Nathan called his commanding officer requesting extended leave. "Family emergency," he explained. No, he couldn't elaborate. Yes, it was serious. Thankfully, his years of exemplary service earned him 30 days without question. While Amanda was at a social media engagement, Nathan took Lily to her elementary school. The building was mostly empty during summer break, but the administration office remained open. The secretary's eyes widened in recognition. "Major Reed." "We didn't know you were back." Her eyes drifted to Lily, who clung to Nathan's leg. "Hello, sweetheart." Lily didn't respond. "I'd like to speak with Lily's teacher, if possible," Nathan said. "Ms. Carson. She's actually here today clearing out her classroom. I'll call her." Mrs. Carson was younger than Nathan expected, perhaps 30, with kind eyes that lit up when she saw Lily, then clouded with concern when Lily didn't respond. "She's been this way for how long?" Nathan asked once they were seated in the empty classroom. Ms. Carson glanced at the door before responding. "It started gradually. After spring break, Lily stopped participating in class discussions. By May, she'd stopped speaking entirely at school." She hesitated. "Major Reed, I tried to reach out. I called home several times." "And?" Mrs. Reed explained that Lily was seeing a therapist for separation anxiety. She said everything was under control. Mrs. Carson's fingers twisted together nervously. "I also noticed changes in Lily's appearance and behavior." "What kind of changes?" "She stopped bringing lunch, said she forgot. She wore long sleeves even during the hot days in June, and her artwork changed dramatically." Ms. Carson walked to a filing cabinet and pulled out a folder. "I kept these. I'm not sure why. Something felt wrong." The folder contained Lily's artwork from throughout the year. The early drawings showed a happy family, bright colors, sunshine. The more recent ones featured dark corners, a small figure hiding, and large looming shadows. One drawing showed a child inside what appeared to be a closet, a monster with long red fingernails scratching at the door. "I filed a report with the principal," Mrs. Carson said quietly. I'm mandated to report suspected abuse, but Mrs. Reed is very convincing. She brought in documentation from the therapist, said Lily was processing your absence through art. Nathan felt sick. And the principal accepted that? Mrs. Reed is on the PTA board. She organizes the annual fundraiser. And Principal Morris, she doesn't like unfounded accusations that might damage the school's reputation. As they were leaving, Ms. Carson pressed a card into Nathan's hand. Detective Frank Conroy. He's semi-retired but consults on child welfare cases. If you need someone who knows how to navigate the system, call him. At home, Nathan began to notice other changes. Lily's closet, once bursting with colorful clothes, now contained neatly organized outfits in subdued colors. Her bookshelf had been rearranged. The silly storybooks Grace had loved reading with her were gone, replaced with educational titles. And when he opened her toy chest, he found it half empty. "We donated the toys she outgrew," Amanda explained when he asked. "I've been teaching her about minimalism. It's better for developing focus." That night, after Amanda and Lily were asleep, Nathan searched the house. In the garage, behind stacked storage bins, he found 3 boxes labeled Lily, Donate. Inside were the missing storybooks, including the worn copy of Goodnight Moon that Grace had read every night. Beneath the books were Lily's discarded toys, including the purple stuffed bunny that had once been inseparable from his daughter. Nathan brought the bunny to his nose. It still smelled faintly of the baby shampoo Grace had used to wash Lily's hair. He tucked it under his arm and continued searching. In Amanda's home office, he found a locked filing cabinet. His lock-picking skills, honed during specialized military training, made quick work of it. Inside, he found folders with Amanda's social media statistics, sponsorship contracts, and, most disturbingly, brochures for a therapeutic boarding school for troubled children with Lily's name written on the application forms. The start date was just 2 weeks away. Nathan photographed everything, then carefully relocked the cabinet. Back in his study, he called the number on Ms. Carson's card. Detective Frank Conroy agreed to meet him the following day at a diner outside town. "Don't confront your wife," the detective warned over the phone. "If what you suspect is happening, she'll just get better at hiding it. We need solid evidence." The next morning, Nathan watched Amanda interact with Lily at breakfast. Every movement seemed calculated for maximum control, serving portions without asking what Lily wanted, correcting the child's posture with a firm hand on her shoulder, speaking about her rather than to her. "We have an appointment with Dr. Stevens next week," Amanda told Nathan. "She's been helping Lily with her behavioral issues." "I'd like to come along," Nathan said casually. A flicker of something, annoyance, alarm, crossed Amanda's face before she smiled. "Of course, honey. We're a family." After breakfast, Nathan took Lily to the backyard to play. Away from Amanda's watchful eye, he showed her the purple bunny. Lily's eyes widened, and for the first time since his return she reached for him, wrapping her small arms around his neck in a fierce hug. "I found your old toys," he whispered. "Would you like them back in your room?" Lily nodded against his shoulder. "Lily, I need to ask you something important." Nathan pulled back to look into her eyes. "Are you afraid of Amanda?" Lily's gaze immediately darted to the house. She didn't nod, but her body tensed. "Has she hurt you?" No response, but tears welled in her eyes. "You don't have to talk if you're not ready," Nathan assured her. "But I want you to know something. I'm your dad. Protecting you is my job. And nothing is more important to me than keeping you safe." A tear slid down Lily's cheek. Slowly, deliberately, she rolled up her sleeve. On her upper arm was a fading bruise, yellowish-green around the edges. Then she lifted her shirt slightly to reveal another bruise along her ribcage. Nathan fought to keep his expression neutral despite the rage building inside him. "Thank you for showing me," he said softly. "You're very brave." Lily pointed to the house, then made a gesture like she was writing. "You want to show me something inside?" She nodded. In her room, Lily dropped to her knees and pointed to a specific floorboard near her bed. Nathan gently pried it up to reveal a small cavity. Inside was a plastic bag containing more drawings, a small notebook, and a photograph of Grace that Amanda had claimed was lost. The notebook contained no words, only dates and small tally marks, but the drawings told a horrifying story. A child locked in a closet, a woman with red fingernails screaming, a boy giving the child gifts but then taking them away. "Lily," Nathan asked, pointing to the boy figure, "who is this?" Lily mimicked someone tall and took an imaginary picture. "Tyler?" Nathan asked, recognizing the description of Amanda's brother who had visited several times, always taking photos for his popular travel blog. Lily nodded, then mimed placing a finger to her lips. A secret. That evening, Nathan met Detective Conroy at a quiet diner 20 miles outside town. Frank Conroy was in his 60s, with silver hair and the weathered face of someone who had seen too many of humanity's darkest moments. "I reviewed the information you sent," Conroy said after they ordered coffee. "You've got red flags, Major Reed, but not enough for emergency removal. The system moves slowly, especially when you're dealing with someone like your wife, educated, connected, no prior record." "So what do I do? Wait until she hurts Lily again?" Conroy's eyes hardened. "Absolutely not. We build a case. Document everything. Create a pattern of evidence no judge can ignore." He slid a small box across the table. "These are surveillance devices, legal in Virginia for a homeowner to use. Camera looks like a USB charger. Voice recorder like a key fob." Nathan examined the devices. "And if I get evidence?" "You call me immediately. Don't confront her alone." Conroy stirred his coffee. "One more thing. I looked into this therapeutic boarding school. Sunnyvale Academy has had 3 investigations for excessive discipline. They restrained kids as young as 5. No criminal charges stuck, but they settled civil suits out of court." Nathan felt the blood drain from his face. "She's planning to send Lily there in 2 weeks. Conroy nodded grimly. "Then we have a deadline." The next morning, while Amanda was in the shower, Nathan installed the surveillance devices throughout the house. USB charger cameras in the living room and kitchen. Voice recorders disguised as decorative items in Lily's room. He worked with practiced efficiency, remembering his training in covert operations, never imagining he'd use those skills in his own home. "What are you doing?" Amanda's voice startled him as he finished placing the last device. Nathan turned, keeping his expression neutral. "Just tidying up. Wanted to make myself useful while you were getting ready." Amanda's eyes narrowed slightly, but her smile remained fixed. "You're so thoughtful. I've got that social media workshop today. I should be home around 4. She kissed his cheek, her perfume cloying. "Try to get Lily to talk, will you? Dr. Stevens says reinforcing her silence only enables the behavior." After Amanda left, Nathan sat with Lily at the kitchen table. "Would you like to draw together?" he asked gently. Lily nodded, her small face brightening slightly. Nathan laid out paper and colored pencils, and they worked side by side in comfortable silence. He drew an elephant like the wooden one he'd given her. Lily watched, then carefully drew a matching elephant, adding a baby elephant between them. "That's beautiful," Nathan said. "Is the baby elephant you?" Lily nodded, then hesitated before selecting a red pencil. She drew a figure behind the elephants, a creature with sharp claws and angry eyes. "Is that Amanda?" Nathan asked softly. Lily didn't respond directly, but she pressed the pencil harder, making the creature's claws longer and sharper. "Lily, Nathan said carefully. I want to help you, but I need to understand what's happening when I'm not here. Lily set down her pencil and looked at him with a gravity no 6-year-old should possess. She pointed to herself, then made a zipping motion across her lips. You're not allowed to talk about it? She nodded. Who told you that? Amanda? Another nod. What about Tyler? Amanda's brother? Lily's eyes widened in fear. She grabbed another piece of paper and drew quickly. A tall figure with a camera, standing too close to a small girl. Then she drew a box with the small girl inside, crying. Did Tyler put you in a box? Nathan asked, struggling to keep his voice steady. Lily shook her head, then pointed to the closet. The implication struck Nathan like a physical blow. His daughter had been locked in closets by his wife, and somehow her brother was involved. No one is ever going to lock you up again, Nathan promised, fighting to control the rage threatening to overwhelm him. I'm going to make sure of it. Later that day, Nathan received a text from Conroy. Check your email. Found something. The email contained records from Child Protective Services in Arizona, where Amanda had grown up. 15 years ago, a teenage Amanda Wells had been removed from her parents' home following allegations of severe abuse. The case had been sealed because she was a minor, but Conroy had connections. According to my source, Conroy wrote, she was eventually returned to her grandmother's custody. The grandmother, Eleanor Wells, still lives in Phoenix. Might be worth talking to her. That afternoon, Nathan met Martha Henderson at her mailbox. The elderly neighbor had been watching the Reed house with undisguised concern since Nathan's return. Beautiful day, isn't it, Major Reed? Martha said, her perceptive eyes studying his face. Please, call me Nathan. And yes, it is. Martha hesitated, then spoke in a lower voice. I've been worried about your little girl. I used to see her playing outside all the time before you left. Singing, skipping rope. Haven't seen much of that lately. Nathan felt a surge of hope. Mrs. Henderson? Martha, please. Martha. Have you noticed anything concerning while I was deployed? The older woman glanced around, then gestured toward her porch. Perhaps you'd like some iced tea. It's awfully hot out here. Once settled in wicker chairs on Martha's shaded porch, the former teacher spoke frankly. I've taught children for over 40 years, young man. You learn to recognize signs of trouble. She poured tea from a glass pitcher. About 4 months after you left, I noticed changes. Lily stopped playing outside. When she did appear, she was always in long sleeves, even during the heat wave in May. Did you ever see anything directly? Martha's lips thinned. Once, I heard shouting. I went to my window and saw your wife dragging Lily by the arm into the house. The child was crying, but your wife was... She searched for the word. Controlled. Cold. It wasn't the reaction of someone at the end of their rope with a difficult child. It was calculated. Did you report it? Martha's eyes filled with regret. I called the non-emergency police line. An officer came, spoke to your wife. She explained that Lily was having a tantrum over missing you. Showed the officer Lily's room, all perfect with toys and books. The officer seemed embarrassed to have bothered them. She sighed heavily. He told me perhaps I should mind my own business, that at my age memory can play tricks. Nathan felt a surge of anger on Martha's behalf. You were right to be concerned. There's something else, Martha said hesitantly. A man visits when you're away. Handsome fellow, takes lots of pictures, brings toys for Lily. Tyler, Amanda's brother, Martha nodded. He came at unusual hours. Sometimes I'd see him arrive after Lily should have been in bed, and once... She stopped, looking troubled. Please, anything could help. Once I saw him carrying Lily to his car late at night. She was in her pajamas, looked half asleep. They returned about 2 hours later. I almost called the police again, but after last time, she trailed off, ashamed. You couldn't have known, Nathan assured her, though his mind was racing with dark possibilities. When was this? About 2 months ago, June 18th. I remember because it was my late husband's birthday. Nathan thanked Martha and returned home, his thoughts in turmoil. Why would Tyler take Lily from the house late at night? Where had they gone, and what was his role in all this? That evening, Amanda invited her brother Tyler for dinner. I thought it would be nice for us all to catch up, she explained, as she prepared a roast that Nathan had never seen her cook before. Tyler's been so helpful while you were away. Tyler Wells arrived bearing gifts, a new educational tablet for Lily and expensive whiskey for Nathan. In his early 30s, Tyler had the same striking features as his sister, with an easy charm that had always made Nathan like him. Now, watching Tyler interact with Lily, Nathan saw the interaction through new eyes. "Hey there, princess," Tyler said, kneeling to Lily's level. "Got you something special?" Lily accepted the tablet without enthusiasm, her eyes darting to Nathan as if seeking protection. "She's still not talking?" Tyler asked Amanda, as if Lily weren't present. "Not a word," Amanda replied with practiced concern. "The trauma specialist says it might take months." During dinner, Nathan observed the siblings carefully. They communicated in shorthand, exchanging glances that suggested years of shared secrets. Whenever Lily made the slightest noise or movement, Amanda's attention snapped to her with laser focus. "So, Tyler," Nathan said casually, "Martha next door mentioned seeing you take Lily out late one night a couple months back." "Some kind of special outing?" The siblings exchanged a quick glance before Tyler laughed easily. "Oh, that was emergency ice cream therapy. Amanda called me because Lily had a nightmare and wouldn't settle down. Sometimes a change of scenery helps, right, kiddo?" He ruffled Lily's hair, and she flinched almost imperceptibly. "That was so thoughtful of you," Nathan said, noting how Amanda's knuckles had whitened around her fork. After dinner, while Amanda cleared the table, Tyler pulled out his phone. "Got some great shots from my trip to Colorado. Want to see?" As Tyler scrolled through landscape photos, Nathan noticed something odd. Several children appeared in the backgrounds, always partially obscured or out of focus. In one mountain vista shot, Nathan could make out a small blonde girl who looked remarkably like Lily, standing near a cabin. "Beautiful scenery," Nathan commented. "You travel quite a bit for your blog." Tyler smiled. "It's a great gig. Companies pay me to visit their properties, post some photos, write some copy. Living the dream." "And which companies are these?" Tyler's smile faltered slightly. "Oh, various resorts, adventure outfitters. Nothing you'd recognize." After Tyler left, Nathan helped Amanda with the dishes, maintaining a facade of domestic normality while his mind processed what he'd learned. As they worked side by side, he deliberately dropped a glass, sending it shattering across the tile floor. Amanda's reaction was instantaneous and telling. Her hand shot out, gripping his wrist with surprising strength, nails digging into his skin. "Don't you dare make a mess in my kitchen," she hissed, voice completely transformed from the sweet tone she'd used throughout dinner. For a split second, her mask had slipped. Nathan saw something cold and dangerous in her eyes before she caught herself, immediately softening. "Oh, I'm sorry, honey. You startled me." "Here, let me clean that up before anyone gets hurt." Later that night, Nathan checked the surveillance footage on his secure laptop while Amanda slept. The kitchen camera had captured her transformation perfectly. The momentary rage, the painful grip, the instant recalibration to loving wife. It wasn't conclusive evidence of abuse, but it confirmed his suspicions about her volatile nature hiding beneath a controlled exterior. The next morning, Nathan received a call from Detective Conroy. "We need to meet." Not at the diner. The park by the river. 2 o'clock. At the designated time, Nathan found Conroy sitting on a bench overlooking the Potomac, feeding breadcrumbs to pigeons like any elderly retiree enjoying the day. "Don't react to what I'm about to tell you," Conroy said without preamble. "I pulled some strings, got access to sealed records in Arizona. Your wife's history is worse than I thought. She wasn't just abused, she was part of a larger investigation involving multiple children. Her brother Tyler was also a victim." "What kind of investigation?" Nathan asked, keeping his expression neutral. "The kind that gets buried when powerful people are involved. Their father was a county commissioner. Their mother ran a daycare. There were allegations that inappropriate photos were taken of children. The investigation stalled when key evidence disappeared and witnesses recanted." Nathan felt sick. And they were returned to this environment? Eventually placed with their grandmother, Eleanor Wells. The official record shows successful rehabilitation, therapy, normal adjustment to society. Conroy tossed another handful of crumbs to the birds. But here's where it gets concerning. 3 years ago, Tyler Wells started a travel blog that became surprisingly successful. He specializes in remote locations, family-friendly resorts. Around the same time, police in 3 states began investigating a ring sharing exploitative images of children through encrypted channels. They haven't made arrests, but they've identified certain locations where photos originated. Locations that match Tyler's travel blog, Nathan concluded, his blood running cold. Conroy nodded grimly. "I have a contact in the FBI who's been tracking the case. When I mentioned Tyler's name, she asked for a meeting. She's waiting at a coffee shop down the street." Special Agent Diana Morris was not what Nathan expected. A petite woman in her 40s with a no-nonsense demeanor and tired eyes. She got straight to the point once they were seated in a private corner. "We've been building a case against a network operating across state lines," she explained. "These aren't amateurs, they're careful, methodical, and they understand forensic countermeasures. We believe Tyler Wells is connected, but we haven't been able to gather enough evidence for a warrant." "And my wife?" Nathan asked, dreading the answer. Agent Morris's expression was sympathetic but direct. "We don't know the extent of her involvement. At minimum, we suspect she provides access. The pattern we've seen involves establishing relationships with single parents, gaining trust, then exploiting access to children." The implication hit Nathan like a physical blow. Amanda had targeted him because of Lily. Their entire relationship had been a calculated move to gain access to his daughter. "The boarding school," Nathan said suddenly. "Sunnyvale Academy. Amanda's trying to send Lily there in less than 2 weeks." Agent Morris and Conroy exchanged glances. "We've had concerns about that facility," Morris admitted. "Nothing concrete enough for charges, but several children who've attended have shown signs of continued abuse." "I need to get my daughter away from them," Nathan said, his military training kicking in, mind already mapping contingencies. "Not yet," Morris cautioned. "If you spook them now, we lose our chance to stop the entire operation. More children will be at risk." "So I'm supposed to leave my daughter in danger?" "No," Conroy interjected. "You're supposed to help us gather evidence while we set up protection for Lily. We're talking days, not weeks." 2 days, Nathan stated firmly. "That's all I'm willing to risk." As Nathan drove home, his mind processed the horrifying reality of his situation. He had inadvertently delivered his daughter into the hands of predators. The woman he had married, the woman he had trusted to care for Grace's child, was part of a network that exploited children. The weight of his failure crushed down on him. How had he not seen it? There had been signs. Amanda's excessive interest in Lily from their first meeting, her eagerness to marry quickly, her insistence that Nathan accept another deployment despite having the option to decline. He had been so desperate to rebuild a family after losing Grace that he had ignored his instincts, and Lily had paid the price. Nathan pulled over, overcome with emotion. He slammed his fist against the steering wheel again and again until the pain in his hand matched the agony in his heart. Then he took a deep breath, wiped his eyes, and continued driving. Lily needed him focused, strategic. There would be time for self-recrimination later. At home, he found Amanda preparing dinner, her movements precise and controlled. Lily sat at the kitchen table, coloring quietly. "You're late," Amanda observed without looking up from the vegetables she was chopping. "Everything okay?" "Just got caught up with some paperwork for the base," Nathan lied smoothly. "Smells great in here." "Tyler's coming over again," Amanda announced. "He has news about a project he wants to discuss with us." Nathan maintained his composure while alarm bells rang in his mind. "Great. Always good to see Tyler." That night, as planned, Tyler arrived with more gifts and his ever-present camera. Over dinner, he revealed his project. "I've been commissioned to document family-friendly resorts across the Southwest," Tyler explained enthusiastically. 3 weeks, all expenses paid. I was thinking, why not make it a family trip? Lily would love Arizona, and it would be a chance for you two to reconnect, Nathan. Amanda nodded eagerly. "It sounds perfect. Lily needs a change of scenery before starting at her new school." Nathan recognized the trap immediately. They wanted to get Lily away from Virginia, away from the protection of local authorities who might be monitoring the situation. "That's very generous," Nathan replied carefully. "When were you thinking?" "This weekend," Tyler said casually. "The sponsors are eager to get started. 2 days. They wanted to leave in 2 days before the FBI could build their case." "Let me check my schedule," Nathan hedged. "I might need to rearrange some things with the base." After dinner, while Amanda and Tyler cleaned up, Nathan knelt beside Lily. "Can I see what you're drawing?" Lily showed him her picture, a car with 3 people inside driving toward mountains. In the back seat was a small blonde figure, tears running down her face. "Is this about the trip Tyler mentioned?" Nathan whispered. Lily nodded almost imperceptibly. "Are you scared?" Another tiny nod. Nathan squeezed her hand gently. "Don't worry. You're not going anywhere without me. And I'm not going to let anyone hurt you. I promise." Later that night, after Tyler left and Amanda went to bed, Nathan contacted Agent Morris with the new development. The FBI agent was alarmed. "They're accelerating their timeline," she said. "This changes things. We need to move more quickly." "I'm not letting Lily out of my sight," Nathan insisted. "Be careful," Morris warned. "People like this, when cornered, they can become unpredictable." The following morning, Nathan awoke to find Amanda already dressed and packing a suitcase in Lily's room. His daughter sat silently on the bed, watching with wide, fearful eyes as Amanda efficiently folded clothes into a pink rolling bag. "What's going on?" Nathan asked, leaning against the doorframe with forced casualness. Amanda looked up, her smile bright but not reaching her eyes. "I thought we'd get a head start on packing for Tyler's trip. The weather in Arizona will be warm, so Lily will need her summer clothes." "I haven't agreed to the trip yet," Nathan reminded her. "I need to check with my commanding officer about taking more leave." Amanda's movements stilled for a fraction of a second before she continued folding a small t-shirt. "I'm sure they'll understand. Family comes first, right?" Her tone was light, but carried a subtle edge. "Besides, I've already confirmed with Tyler. The reservations are made." Nathan maintained his neutral expression with effort. "Still, military protocol. I'll need to get official approval." "Of course," Amanda conceded, though her smile tightened. "I'll just continue getting things ready while you sort that out." As soon as Amanda left for a quick errand, Nathan knelt beside Lily. "Has this happened before? Sudden trips with Tyler? Lily hesitated, then nodded. How many times? She held up 3 fingers. Where did you go? Lily reached for her sketchbook and drew mountains, then a beach, then what appeared to be a cabin in the woods. Were there other children there? Another nod, more emphatic this time. She drew several small figures. Did anyone take pictures of you? Lily's face crumpled and she nodded, tears filling her eyes. Nathan pulled her into a gentle hug, his heart breaking. It's going to stop, Lily. I promise you. He wiped her tears with his thumb. Would you like to go somewhere special today? Just you and me? For the first time since his return, Lily's eyes brightened slightly. She pointed to a photo on her nightstand, one Nathan hadn't noticed before. It showed Lily and Grace at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., both smiling widely in front of the elephant enclosure. Grace's skin was already pale from her illness, but her smile remained radiant. The zoo? Nathan asked. You want to visit the elephants? Lily nodded eagerly. Then that's exactly what we'll do. Nathan texted Amanda that he was taking Lily for some daddy-daughter time while she ran her errands. Amanda's response came quickly. Great idea. Be home by 4 for dinner with Tyler and Grandma Eleanor. She just flew in to surprise us. Eleanor Wells, the grandmother who had raised Amanda and Tyler after the abuse allegations, the woman who, according to Conroy's information, had either been oblivious to or complicit in the siblings' ongoing issues. And now she was here, just as they were planning to take Lily to Arizona. Nathan immediately called Detective Conroy, who answered on the first ring. Eleanor Wells just arrived in town, Nathan said without preamble. They're accelerating their timeline. This confirms our suspicions, Conroy replied grimly. The FBI team needs one more day to secure warrants. Can you keep Lily with you until then? I'm taking her to the National Zoo right now. We won't be back until late afternoon. Good. Morris has arranged for surveillance at your house. Don't tip them off that we're on to them. At the zoo, Nathan watched Lily carefully. Away from Amanda, some of her natural spirit began to reemerge. She didn't speak, but her eyes widened with delight at the elephants, and she squeezed Nathan's hand excitedly when a baby elephant sprayed water at its mother. They stopped at a bench for ice cream, and Nathan took a chance. Lily, can I ask you something important? He waited for her nod before continuing. The trips with Tyler. Did Amanda ever go with you? Lily shook her head. Did Tyler ever hurt you? Lily frowned, considering the question. She made a motion like taking pictures, then shook her head. He took pictures but didn't hurt you physically? She nodded, then pointed to her head and made a swirling motion. He confused you? Made you feel bad inside? Another nod, more vigorous. And Amanda? Did she hurt you? Lily's expression darkened. She nodded, then mimicked someone shouting, followed by a slapping motion. Nathan felt rage building inside him but kept his voice gentle. You've been so brave, Lily. Braver than any soldier I've ever known. He took her small hand in his. I need you to be brave a little longer. Can you do that? Lily studied his face, then nodded solemnly. Good girl. Now there's something I need to tell you. We're not going on that trip with Tyler. And you're not going to that new school Amanda talked about. You and I are going to stay together, and no one is ever going to hurt you again. For the first time since his return, Lily's face transformed with hope. Her eyes, so like Grace's, filled with cautious belief. But we need to be very careful when we go home today, Nathan continued. Amanda, Tyler, and Eleanor might be upset when they find out our plans. So, we need to pretend everything is normal for just a little while longer. Can you do that? Lily's expression turned serious, and she gave a determined nod. That's my girl, Nathan said, his throat tight with emotion. As they walked through the zoo, Nathan noticed a familiar figure following at a distance. Agent Morris, maintaining discreet surveillance. Their eyes met briefly, and she gave an almost imperceptible nod of reassurance. On the drive home, Nathan received a text from Martha Henderson. Saw your wife's brother and an elderly woman entering your house with several suitcases. Something doesn't feel right. Be careful. Nathan thanked the watchful neighbor and steeled himself for what was coming. The house was bustling with activity when they arrived. Amanda greeted them at the door with an overly bright smile, while Tyler carried bags from his SUV to the living room. An elegant woman in her late 60s, Eleanor Wells, sat regally on the couch, her silver hair swept into a perfect chignon, jewelry gleaming at her throat and wrists. "There you are," Amanda exclaimed, her voice pitched higher than normal. "Grandma Eleanor came all the way from Phoenix to join us for the trip. Isn't that wonderful?" Eleanor Wells surveyed Nathan with calculating eyes before turning her attention to Lily. "There's my beautiful great-granddaughter. Come give Grandma Eleanor a hug." Lily froze, her small body tensing. Nathan felt her hand grip his tightly. "She's a bit tired from our zoo adventure," Nathan explained smoothly. "Maybe later, after she's had some rest." Eleanor's smile remained fixed, but her eyes hardened. "Children need to learn respect for their elders. Amanda, didn't you tell me Lily was making progress with her behavior issues?" "We're working on it, Grandma," Amanda replied, shooting a warning glance at Nathan. "Why don't you take Lily upstairs to wash up before dinner?" "Actually," Nathan countered, "I think Lily and I both need to freshen up after our day out. We'll be down shortly." Before anyone could object, Nathan guided Lily upstairs. In the bathroom, he turned on the shower to mask their conversation and knelt to Lily's level. "Has Eleanor visited before?" he whispered. Lily nodded, her expression troubled. "Did she hurt you?" Lily shook her head, then mimed someone watching, eyes narrowed. "She watched while Amanda hurt you?" A hesitant nod. Nathan's jaw clenched. "Listen carefully, Lily. Tonight, I want you to stay very close to me. Don't go anywhere alone with Amanda, Tyler, or Eleanor. If someone tries to separate us, I want you to scream as loud as you can. Can you do that?" Lily's eyes widened, but she nodded with determination. "Good girl. Now let's go downstairs and pretend everything is normal. Tomorrow, things will be different, I promise." Dinner was an exercise in controlled tension. Eleanor dominated the conversation, reminiscing about Amanda and Tyler's wonderful childhood in Arizona, while fixing Nathan with evaluating stares. "Amanda always had a talent for making a beautiful home," Eleanor remarked, gesturing to the impeccably decorated dining room. "Even as a little girl, everything had to be just so. Tyler was the adventurous one, always exploring." They balanced each other perfectly. Nathan noticed how both siblings tensed at these childhood recollections, though their smiles never faltered. "And now they've grown into such accomplished adults," Eleanor continued. "Amanda with her social media success, Tyler with his travel blog. I'm so proud." "Tyler was telling me about this upcoming trip," Nathan said carefully. "It seems to have come together rather suddenly." "Opportunities don't wait, Major Reed," Eleanor replied, her tone suggesting she was accustomed to having the final word. "In our family, we seize advantages when they appear." "I've always admired that about Amanda," Nathan said, watching his wife's reaction. "She's very opportunistic." Amanda's smile flickered momentarily before she recovered. "Tyler, why don't you show Nathan those resort brochures while I clear the table?" Tyler produced a glossy folder. "These are the properties we'll be visiting, all very exclusive, very private. Perfect for families who value discretion." Nathan flipped through the brochures, noting the remote locations and emphasis on security features. "Impressive, though I notice there aren't many pictures of other guests." "That's part of the appeal," Tyler explained smoothly. Privacy is our priority. After dinner, Eleanor announced she was tired from her flight and would retire to the guest room. Amanda began loading the dishwasher while Tyler engaged Nathan in conversation about military deployments, skillfully extracting information about Nathan's unit and commanding officers. As the evening progressed, Nathan noticed Amanda slipping something into a glass of water, then offering it to Lily. "Drink up, sweetheart. It's time for your medicine." Nathan intervened smoothly. "I don't recall Lily being on any medication." "Dr. Stevens prescribed it for her anxiety," Amanda explained. "She's been taking it for months." "I'd like to see the prescription," Nathan said firmly. Amanda's eyes narrowed slightly. "It's in my office. I'll get it after I finish the dishes." "I'll help you with those," Nathan offered, taking the glass of water and emptying it into the sink before Amanda could object. "Lily seems tired. I'll take her up to bed in a bit." As they worked side by side in the kitchen, Nathan carefully observed Amanda's movements, noting how she repeatedly checked her phone, exchanging texts with someone. He positioned himself to glimpse the screen, messages to Tyler, who was now in the living room. "He's suspicious. Move timeline up. Tonight." Nathan's heart raced, but he maintained his composure. Once the kitchen was clean, Amanda excused herself to check on Grandma Eleanor, leaving Nathan and Lily in the living room with Tyler. "So, buddy," Tyler said with manufactured casualness, "Amanda mentioned you might have to head to the base tomorrow morning for some paperwork." "What time do you think you'll be back?" "Hard to say," Nathan replied vaguely. "Military bureaucracy can be unpredictable." "Well, no worries. Amanda and I can take Lily shopping for some last-minute trip items while you're gone." The implication was clear. They planned to take Lily while Nathan was supposedly at the base. He needed to alert Morris and Conroy immediately. "I'm going to get Lily ready for bed," Nathan announced, taking his daughter's hand. "Say goodnight, Lily." Tyler's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Sweet dreams, princess. Tomorrow's going to be a big day." Upstairs, Nathan went through the motions of Lily's bedtime routine, hyper-aware of movement in the house below. He could hear Amanda and Tyler conversing in low tones, occasionally joined by Eleanor's more authoritative voice. After tucking Lily in, Nathan kissed her forehead and whispered, "I need you to be very brave tonight. If anyone comes into your room besides me, I want you to scream as loud as you can. Can you do that?" Lily nodded solemnly. "Good girl. I'm going to be right across the hall. I won't let anyone take you, I promise." Nathan pretended to retire to the master bedroom but remained fully dressed, listening intently. He texted Conroy, "They're planning to move tonight. Need immediate assistance." The response came quickly. "Team on standby. Keep Lily with you. Signal if they make a move." Around midnight, Nathan heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Through the crack in his door, he saw Amanda and Tyler outside Lily's room, speaking in hushed tones. "The sedative in her water would have made this easier," Amanda hissed. "We'll manage," Tyler assured her. "I've got the car ready. Once we're on the road, Eleanor will handle any complications." "And Nathan?" "Grandma put something in his coffee. He'll sleep until morning." "By then, we'll be halfway to the private airfield." Nathan felt a surge of gratitude that he'd only pretended to drink the coffee Eleanor had insisted on serving him after dinner. He texted Conroy a single word, "Now." As Amanda quietly opened Lily's door, Nathan stepped into the hallway. "Going somewhere?" Amanda whirled around, her expression momentarily shocked before smoothing into concern. "Nathan, I was just checking on Lily. I thought I heard her crying." "Strange. I've been awake all night and didn't hear anything." Nathan stepped closer. "Were you planning to take her somewhere, Amanda?" Tyler moved to Amanda's side, his friendly demeanor replaced with cold calculation. "You should be asleep by now." "Sorry to disappoint," Nathan replied, positioning himself between them and Lily's door. "No one is taking my daughter anywhere." Eleanor appeared at the top of the stairs, her regal bearing now tinged with menace. "This is unfortunate, Major Reed. We had hoped to handle this transition smoothly." "Transition?" Nathan repeated. "Is that what you call kidnapping?" "Don't be dramatic," Eleanor scoffed. "Amanda is Lily's legal mother. We're simply taking her on a family vacation." "A vacation to one of Tyler's special resorts?" Nathan challenged. "Where he takes his special photographs?" Amanda's face drained of color. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about," Nathan countered. "I know about the investigations in Arizona. I know about Tyler's connection to exploitative imagery. I know about the children who've been through Sunnyvale Academy." He fixed his gaze on Amanda. "And I know you targeted me specifically because of Lily." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Eleanor broke the silence with a cold laugh. "You have no proof of anything, and even if you did, who would believe you? Amanda is a respected influencer with thousands of followers. Tyler is a successful travel writer. And I sit on the boards of 3 children's charities." Her smile was venomous. "You, on the other hand, are a traumatized soldier with PTSD, recently returned from deployment, potentially unstable. Who do you think the authorities will believe?" "That's a good question," came a voice from the stairwell. Detective Conroy stepped into view, his badge visible. "Personally, I'm inclined to believe the evidence." Behind him appeared Agent Morris and 2 other FBI agents, all with weapons drawn. "Tyler and Amanda Wells." "Eleanor Wells," Morris announced formally. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit child exploitation and trafficking across state lines." The next few minutes unfolded in controlled chaos. As the agents secured the suspects, Nathan rushed into Lily's room, finding her huddled under her blankets, eyes wide with fear. "It's okay, Lilypad," he soothed, gathering her into his arms. "The bad people can't hurt you anymore. You're safe now." Lily clung to him fiercely, her small body trembling. Nathan carried her downstairs, deliberately avoiding the living room where the suspects were being processed, and out to the front porch where Martha Henderson stood in her bathrobe, concern etched on her face. "Is she all right?" the elderly teacher asked, her voice breaking. "She will be," Nathan assured her. Though uncertainty gnawed at him, how did a child recover from such betrayal? How could he help her heal from wounds he couldn't fully comprehend? As police cars and unmarked FBI vehicles filled the quiet suburban street, neighbors emerged from their homes, watching in confused shock as Amanda, Tyler, and Eleanor were led away in handcuffs. The perfect facade of the Wells family was crumbling before their eyes. Agent Morris approached Nathan on the porch. "We found evidence on Tyler's laptop, encrypted, but our tech team broke through. There are images of at least 12 children, including some that appear to be Lily, though no face is visible in those." Nathan held Lily tighter as if he could retroactively protect her from what had already happened. "What happens now?" "We've arranged for a specialized medical team at Children's National Hospital. They're experienced in these cases." Morris's professional demeanor softened as she looked at Lily. "She'll need comprehensive care, physical, psychological, emotional. It's going to be a long road." "We'll walk it together," Nathan promised, speaking both to Morris and to the child in his arms. As dawn broke over the neighborhood, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns, Nathan sat on the porch swing with Lily curled against his chest. The immediate danger had passed, but he knew their journey was just beginning. The evidence being collected from the house would reveal the full extent of what Lily had endured during his absence. The weight of his failure to protect her pressed down on him like a physical burden. He had brought these people into their lives. He had left her in their care. Whatever happened next, he would spend the rest of his life trying to make it right. "I love you, Lilypad," he whispered into her hair, "more than anything in the world." Lily didn't speak, but she lifted her head and met his eyes. Then, in a gesture that broke and mended his heart simultaneously, she placed her small hand against his cheek. It wasn't forgiveness. That would come later, if at all. But it was connection. A beginning. As the sun rose higher, casting golden light across their entwined figures, Nathan made a silent vow. From this moment forward, nothing would ever separate them again. Whatever healing Lily needed, whatever justice remained to be served, they would face it together. Step by painful step, they would reclaim what had been stolen, not just Lily's sense of safety, but her voice, her childhood, her trust in the world. The road ahead would be difficult, filled with therapists and court appearances, nightmares and setbacks. But looking down at his daughter's face, now peaceful in exhausted sleep, Nathan felt something he hadn't experienced since losing Grace. Hope. Small and fragile, but undeniably present. "We're going to be okay," he promised, as much to himself as to Lily. And for the first time, he believed it might be true. The Children's National Hospital stood like a fortress of hope against the morning sky, its modern architecture designed to appear welcoming rather than clinical. Nathan carried Lily through the special entrance designated for sensitive cases, away from curious eyes and the gathering media vans that had already caught wind of the arrests. Agent Morris walked beside them, her presence ensuring no bureaucratic obstacles would delay Lily's care. "Dr. Caroline Jensen will be overseeing Lily's evaluation," Morris explained in a low voice. "She's the best in the country for cases like this. Completely child-centered approach." Nathan nodded, grateful but overwhelmed. Lily hadn't left his arms since they'd fled the house, her fingers clutching his shirt with surprising strength, as if afraid he might disappear if she loosened her grip. Dr. Jensen met them in a brightly colored room filled with toys, art supplies, and comfortable furniture scaled for children. In her early 50s, with gentle eyes and a calm demeanor, she immediately knelt to Lily's level rather than addressing Nathan first. "Hello, Lily," she said softly. "My name is Dr. Caroline. This is a special place where kids can feel safe and talk about hard things if they want to. No one will make you do anything you don't want to do here." Lily regarded the doctor warily from the security of Nathan's arms. "She hasn't spoken since I returned," Nathan explained. Dr. Jensen nodded, unsurprised. Selective mutism is a common protective response to trauma. Lily's voice will return when she feels safe enough to use it. She gestured toward a small table with paper and colored pencils. "Sometimes it's easier to show things than to say them." Over the next several hours, Dr. Jensen conducted a gentle, trauma-informed evaluation. She allowed Lily to stay close to Nathan, never forcing separation. Through drawing exercises, anatomically correct dolls, and simple yes or no questions, a picture of Lily's experiences began to emerge. Nathan fought to maintain his composure as the full extent of Amanda and Tyler's betrayal became clear. "She's showing significant signs of post-traumatic stress," Dr. Jensen explained during a brief moment when Lily was distracted by a therapy dog that had been brought in. "The nightmares, hypervigilance, selective mutism, all consistent with prolonged exposure to frightening and unpredictable situations. The good news is that she clearly has a secure attachment to you. That's going to be crucial for her recovery." "What about the photographs?" Nathan forced himself to ask, though the word stuck in his throat. Dr. Jensen's expression remained professionally composed. The physical examination showed no signs of sexual abuse, which aligns with what Lily has communicated through her drawings. "Based on what we're seeing, Tyler's primary interest appears to have been in creating images, not physical contact. That doesn't minimize the trauma, but it does inform our treatment approach." "And Amanda? The physical abuse?" There are healing contusions consistent with grabbing, slapping, and what appears to be punishment by isolation, being locked in confined spaces. Dr. Jensen's voice hardened slightly, the only indication of her emotional response to these findings. Children Lily's age experience time differently than adults. Being locked in a closet for even 20 minutes can feel like an eternity. Nathan closed his eyes briefly, imagining his daughter's terror, her calls for help that no one answered. What do we do now? We've prepared a comprehensive treatment plan, Dr. Jensen explained. Trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, play therapy, art therapy. We'll coordinate with law enforcement to ensure Lily only has to share her experiences once for legal purposes, with appropriate support in place. A soft knock at the door interrupted them. Detective Conroy entered, his weathered face grim. "Sorry to interrupt, Doc, but I have some information the Major needs to hear." Dr. Jensen nodded. "I'll stay with Lily while you talk." In the hallway, Conroy didn't mince words. "The evidence we've collected so far is substantial. Tyler's laptop contained encrypted files with images of multiple children carefully categorized. Amanda's involvement appears to be facilitating access and disciplining the children to ensure compliance. Eleanor Wells was the financial backer and apparently has connections that help them avoid detection for years." "What about the other children?" Nathan asked, thinking of the images he'd glimpsed on Tyler's phone. "We're identifying them now." "Several appear to be children of other single parents whom Amanda befriended through her social media platform." Conroy's expression darkened further. "There's something else you should know. We found records indicating Amanda was researching private international adoption, specifically countries with minimal oversight. After sending Lily to that boarding school, she was planning to tell you she'd become too difficult to manage and suggest giving her up." The corridor seemed to tilt around Nathan. The calculated cruelty, the elaborate deception, all aimed at his innocent daughter. "They would have made her disappear," he whispered. Conroy nodded grimly. "Most likely. Once a child enters certain channels, they're almost impossible to trace." Nathan steadied himself against the wall. "Will they go to prison?" "Tyler is facing federal charges that carry 20-year minimums. Amanda's looking at conspiracy charges, child endangerment, and physical abuse, likely 10 to 15 years. Eleanor's charges are still being determined, but given her age and connections, she'll fight hardest for a deal. And Lily, will she have to testify? We're doing everything possible to avoid that. The physical evidence, surveillance recordings, and documentation should be sufficient." Conroy hesitated. "There is one complication. Amanda's attorney is already floating a mental health defense based on her own childhood trauma. They'll argue diminished capacity." A surge of anger rose in Nathan's chest. She knew exactly what she was doing. Every step was calculated. "I know," Conroy agreed. "But the law recognizes that past victimization can sometimes contribute to present behavior. It doesn't excuse it, but it might influence sentencing." When Nathan returned to the evaluation room, he found Lily sitting beside Dr. Jensen, carefully drawing on a large sheet of paper. For the first time since his return, she seemed marginally relaxed, focused intently on her creation. "That's beautiful, Lily," Dr. Jensen encouraged. "Would you like to show your dad what you've been working on?" Lily hesitated, then turned the paper toward Nathan. She had drawn 3 figures, a tall soldier in green, a small girl with blonde hair, and between them a woman with a kind smile who looked remarkably like Grace. Above them, a yellow sun shone down, and a house stood in the background, not their current home, but the small apartment they had shared before Amanda. "Is that Mommy?" Nathan asked gently, kneeling beside her. Lily nodded, her eyes seeking his for approval. "It's perfect," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "She's watching over us, just like always." A single tear slid down Lily's cheek, the first emotion she had openly expressed since his return. Nathan gathered her into his arms, his own tears falling freely now. It wasn't a breakthrough, not yet, but it was the first crack in the wall of silence her trauma had built around her. That evening, after completing the initial evaluations, Nathan took Lily to Martha Henderson's home. Their own house was still an active crime scene, yellow tape cordoning off the property as FBI technicians continued gathering evidence. Martha had immediately offered her spare bedroom, her teacher's heart already preparing for a child in need. "I've got fresh sheets on the bed and some books I saved from my teaching days," the elderly woman explained, showing them the cozy room decorated in soothing blues and greens. "And I made chicken noodle soup. My mother always said it was good for whatever ails you." "Thank you," Nathan said, overwhelmed by her kindness. "I don't know how to repay you." Martha waved away his gratitude. "You just focus on that little girl. That's all the payment I need." After a simple dinner, during which Lily managed a few bites of soup and half a roll, Nathan helped her prepare for bed. He read 3 stories, her attention gradually increasing with each one, and then tucked the covers around her, placing the purple stuffed bunny he'd rescued from the donation box beside her. "I'll be right in the next room," he promised. "If you need anything, anything at all, you just come get me, okay?" Lily nodded, her eyelids already heavy with exhaustion. Nathan sat beside her until her breathing deepened into sleep, then quietly made his way to Martha's living room, where the elderly teacher waited with 2 cups of tea. "How are you holding up?" she asked directly. "I don't know," Nathan admitted, accepting the steaming mug. "I feel like I'm underwater, moving in slow motion while everything around me speeds by." Martha nodded understandingly. "Shock. It'll pass, and when it does, the anger will come. Just remember that Lily needs your strength now, not your rage, no matter how justified it may be." "I brought those people into her life," Nathan said, the guilt he'd been suppressing surging to the surface. "I left her with them. Whatever they did to her, it's on me." "Nonsense," Martha replied firmly. "Evil people are very good at hiding their true nature. They deceived everyone, teachers, neighbors, social workers. You trusted the woman you married to care for your child. That doesn't make you responsible for her actions." Before Nathan could respond, his phone rang. Agent Morris with an update. The investigation had expanded significantly. Tyler's travel blog had led to the identification of 3 properties used to create exploitative imagery. 6 more children had been identified from the encrypted files. And most disturbingly, Eleanor Wells's connection to children's charities appeared to have provided access to vulnerable youth for years. "We're just scratching the surface," Morris concluded. "This network is extensive and well insulated. The 3 we arrested are important, but they're not the end of it." After the call, Nathan sat in silence, trying to process the magnitude of what they'd uncovered. A predatory network operating in plain sight, using social media, charities, and family connections as cover. And his daughter, his innocent, trusting daughter, had been caught in their web. A small sound from the hallway drew his attention. Lily stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face, the purple bunny clutched to her chest. Nathan immediately went to her, kneeling to her level. "Nightmare?" he asked gently. She nodded, her whole body trembling. "Want to tell me about it?" Lily shook her head vehemently. "That's okay. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to." He opened his arms. "Want to sit with me for a while?" Lily launched herself into his embrace, burying her face against his shoulder. Nathan carried her to the rocking chair in the corner of Martha's living room, settling her on his lap as he began to rock slowly back and forth. Martha quietly excused herself, giving them privacy. "When your mom was sick," Nathan said softly, "she used to worry about leaving us. She made me promise that I would always keep you safe, always make sure you knew how loved you are." His voice caught. "I haven't done a very good job of that promise lately, but that's going to change. From now on, you and me, we're a team. Forever." As he rocked her, Nathan began to hum the lullaby Grace had always sung, a simple melody about moonlight and dreams. Gradually, Lily's trembling subsided. Her breathing slowed, and she relaxed against him, not asleep but calm. Then, so quietly he almost missed it, a tiny whisper, "Daddy." Nathan froze, afraid to break the spell. "Yes, Lilypad?" "Don't go away again," she whispered, the words muffled against his shirt. Joy and pain collided in his chest. Her voice, small and fragile but unmistakably there, was the most beautiful sound he'd ever heard. "Never," he promised fervently. "I'm staying right here with you, always." Lily lifted her head slightly, studying his face with serious eyes, as if gauging the truth of his words. Then she laid her head back on his shoulder, apparently satisfied with what she'd seen. They remained that way for hours, the rocking chair creaking softly, the moonlight casting gentle shadows across the room. Outside, law enforcement continued their investigation. Somewhere, Amanda, Tyler, and Eleanor sat in separate cells, facing the consequences of their actions. The road ahead would be long and difficult, filled with court proceedings, therapy sessions, and the slow, painstaking work of rebuilding trust. But in this moment, in the quiet safety of Martha's living room, with Lily's weight solid and real against his chest, Nathan allowed himself to believe that healing was possible. His daughter had found her voice again, just 6 whispered words, but enough to ignite hope in the darkness. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The investigation would continue to uncover painful truths. The legal system would grind forward. The therapy team would begin the delicate work of helping Lily process her trauma. But tonight, in the gentle rhythm of the rocking chair, father and daughter had taken their first step forward together. "I love you, Lilypad," Nathan whispered into her hair. Lily didn't respond in words, but her small hand found his and squeezed tight, a silent affirmation of the unbreakable bond between them. It wasn't the happy ending Nathan had once imagined for them, but it was a beginning, fragile and tender, but real. And for tonight, that was enough. The courthouse loomed like a monument to impersonal justice, its neoclassical columns and broad stone steps designed to intimidate rather than comfort. Nathan straightened his military dress uniform, more for Lily's benefit than the court's. She had come to associate the uniform with safety. Dad, at his strongest, most capable self. "You look very handsome," Martha commented, adjusting Lily's headband. The elderly teacher had become their rock over the past 2 weeks, opening her home without hesitation while their house remained sealed as a crime scene. "Remember what Dr. Jensen said," Nathan reminded Lily gently. "You don't have to speak to anyone if you don't want to. You just stay with Ms. Dawson the whole time." Lily nodded, clutching her purple bunny. Now a constant companion she'd named Hope. After that first whispered "Daddy" 2 weeks ago, her words had returned in a halting trickle. Single words, then short phrases, spoken almost exclusively to Nathan and occasionally to Martha or Dr. Jensen. Progress measured in whispers. Sarah Dawson, the victim advocate assigned to Lily's case, met them at the courthouse entrance. With her kind eyes and soft voice, she had spent hours preparing Lily for today's hearing, explaining the process, showing her pictures of the courtroom, assuring her she wouldn't have to see Amanda, Tyler, or Eleanor. "The judge has approved all our accommodations," Sarah told Nathan as they navigated the security checkpoint. "Lily will stay in the private witness room with me. The closed-circuit video is set up so she can see you, but no one else. If she gets overwhelmed, we can leave immediately." "And she definitely won't have to testify?" Nathan confirmed for the dozenth time. The prosecution has more than enough evidence without her testimony, Sarah assured him. This is just the arraignment and bail hearing. The defendants will enter their pleas and the judge will decide whether to grant bail. Nathan knelt to Lily's level. I have to go into the big room now, but Ms. Sarah will stay with you the whole time. I'll be back as soon as it's over. Lily's eyes filled with anxiety. Promise? Pinky promise, Nathan replied solemnly, linking his little finger with hers in the sacred pact they'd established during therapy. And remember, you can see me on the special TV screen the whole time. After Lily and Sarah disappeared into the witness room, Detective Conroy joined Nathan in the hallway. The retired officer had continued working the case despite technically being a consultant, his determination to see justice done evident in the dark circles under his eyes. You should know what to expect in there, Conroy said in a low voice. The defendants will be brought in separately. They've each hired high-powered attorneys. Eleanor's lawyer is already pushing the confused grandmother narrative. Tyler's going with addiction and mental illness. And Amanda, he hesitated. What about Amanda? Nathan pressed. She's claiming she was under Eleanor's psychological control, essentially that she was as much a victim as Lily. Conroy's disgust was evident. The prosecutor will counter with the surveillance footage and the evidence of premeditation, but prepare yourself. It's going to get ugly. The courtroom was already crowded when they entered. Journalists, legal observers, and a disturbing number of true crime enthusiasts drawn by the salacious details that had leaked to the media. Nathan kept his eyes forward, ignoring the whispers that followed him to his seat in the front row. Agent Morris slid into the seat beside him. The Bureau's Cybercrimes Division has tracked down 4 more victims based on Tyler's files, she murmured. 2 have agreed to cooperate. The others are too traumatized to come forward yet. Before Nathan could respond, the bailiff called the court to order. Judge Lawrence Harmon entered, his expression grave beneath bushy white eyebrows. At 72, he was a respected veteran of the federal bench, known for his no-nonsense approach to crimes involving children. The defendants were brought in one by one. Eleanor Wells entered first, the picture of elderly dignity in a conservative navy suit, her silver hair arranged perfectly. Only the sharp calculation in her eyes betrayed the manipulative personality beneath the grandmotherly exterior. Tyler followed, his former charisma dimmed by the prison jumpsuit, though he still managed a charming smile for the court. But the most jarring transformation was Amanda's. Gone was the polished social media influencer with designer clothes and perfect makeup. In her place sat a subdued woman with lank hair and red-rimmed eyes, her orange jumpsuit hanging loosely on her frame. Nathan felt a complex surge of emotions as he looked at the woman he had married, the woman who had systematically abused his daughter. Rage, certainly. Disgust, without question. But also a hollow bewilderment. How had he failed to see behind her mask? What had he missed? As the charges were read, a lengthy litany of federal and state offenses, ranging from child exploitation to interstate trafficking to physical abuse, Amanda kept her eyes downcast. Only when her attorney entered a plea of not guilty by reason of mental defect did she look up, her gaze searching the courtroom until she found Nathan. Their eyes locked for a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. Nathan expected to see hatred, defiance, perhaps even the cold calculation he'd glimpsed in their final confrontation. Instead, he saw something far more disturbing, a desperate plea for understanding, as if she genuinely believed he might sympathize with her plight. He held her gaze steadily, allowing no emotion to cross his face until she looked away first. The prosecutor, Assistant U.S. Attorney Rebecca Chen, methodically laid out the case against bail for each defendant. For Eleanor, she emphasized flight risk due to substantial financial resources and international connections. For Tyler, the severity of the charges, and the potential life sentence he faced. For Amanda, the prosecutor focused on the betrayal of trust and the calculated nature of her actions. Your Honor, Chen concluded, the defendant, Amanda Wells, deliberately targeted a military family with a young child. She married Major Reed specifically to gain access to his daughter, then waited until he was deployed overseas, serving his country, to begin her abuse. This wasn't impulsive behavior. This was methodical, premeditated exploitation of both a child and a family's trust. There is no bail condition that can mitigate the danger she presents. Amanda's attorney, a sleek woman in an expensive suit, countered with what Conroy had predicted, painting Amanda as a victim of her grandmother's lifelong manipulation and her own traumatic childhood. My client was subjected to the same exploitation she is now accused of perpetrating, the attorney argued smoothly. She requires treatment, not incarceration. We request release to a secure psychiatric facility pending trial. Nathan felt his jaw clench as the attorney described Amanda's deep remorse and willingness to cooperate against the true architects of this operation. The suggestion that she had been merely a pawn rather than an active participant was infuriating, especially knowing what the surveillance footage had captured. Amanda's cold, calculated abuse when she thought no one was watching. Judge Harmon listened impassively to the arguments, occasionally glancing at the case files before him. When both sides had finished, he adjusted his glasses and delivered his ruling without hesitation. Bail is denied for all three defendants. They will remain in custody until trial. His tone left no room for argument. Based on the evidence presented, I find each defendant poses a significant flight risk and a continued danger to the community, particularly to vulnerable children. As the defendants were led away, Amanda turned once more, her eyes finding Nathan's with an intensity that made his skin crawl. Her lips moved, forming words he couldn't hear but could clearly read. "I'm sorry." The simple phrase, so inadequate in the face of what she had done, ignited a fresh wave of anger in Nathan's chest. Sorry wouldn't erase Lily's nightmares. Sorry wouldn't restore her trust in the world. Sorry wouldn't undo the months of fear and pain she had endured. Outside the courtroom, reporters clamored for comment, their microphones thrust forward like weapons. Nathan pushed through them without a word, focused only on reaching Lily. He found her in the witness room with Sarah, coloring quietly in a book about brave elephants that Dr. Jensen had given her. "Ready to go home, Lilypad?" he asked, kneeling beside her chair. Lily looked up, her eyes searching his face. "Are the bad people going away?" "Yes," Nathan assured her. "The judge said they have to stay in jail." Lily considered this information carefully. "All of them? Even her?" Nathan nodded, knowing exactly who "her" referred to. Lily hadn't spoken Amanda's name since the night of the arrest. "Even her. They're all staying in jail for a long time." Something eased in Lily's expression, not quite relief, but perhaps the first step toward it. She closed her coloring book deliberately. "Can we get ice cream?" The simple request, so normal, so childlike, brought a lump to Nathan's throat. "Absolutely. Any flavor you want." Later that evening, after Lily had been tucked into bed in Martha's spare room, Nathan sat on the back porch with a glass of bourbon, watching fireflies blink in the summer darkness. Martha joined him, settling into the adjacent rocking chair with a soft groan. "These old bones protest more every year," she commented wryly. "How did it go today? The real version, not the one you told Lily." Nathan sipped his drink before answering. "They're being held without bail. The evidence is substantial. The prosecutor is confident." "But?" Martha prompted, hearing the unspoken reservation in his voice. "But Amanda's playing the victim card, claiming she was under Eleanor's influence, that her own childhood trauma made her susceptible to manipulation." He stared into his glass. The worst part is there might be some truth to it. Martha considered this. Perhaps trauma can warp a person's moral compass, no question, but plenty of people survive terrible childhoods without becoming abusers themselves. At some point, we all make choices. The prosecutor showed me some of the sealed records from Arizona, Nathan continued. What happened to Amanda and Tyler as children? It was horrific. Their parents were monsters, but instead of breaking the cycle, they perpetuated it. He looked up at Martha, anguish in his eyes. How do I explain that to Lily someday? How do I tell her that the woman who hurt her was once a little girl who was hurt herself? You tell her the truth when she's old enough to understand it, Martha replied simply. You teach her that pain doesn't excuse causing pain to others, but that understanding can be part of healing. She reached over to pat his hand. But that's a conversation for many years from now. Today, your job is much simpler: to love her, protect her, and help her feel safe again. The ringing of Nathan's phone interrupted their conversation. It was Agent Morris, her voice tight with controlled urgency. We've got a situation, she said without preamble. Eleanor Wells was found unresponsive in her cell an hour ago. Apparent suicide attempt. She's been transported to Georgetown University Hospital under guard. Did she leave a note? Nathan asked, immediately thinking of the potential impact on the case. Not exactly a note. More like a confession. Morris paused. She named names. Nathan. Powerful people. Judges, politicians, business leaders. She claims they were clients or facilitators of the network. If even half of what she's alleging is true, this case just expanded exponentially. After the call ended, Nathan relayed the information to Martha, whose weathered face creased with concern. Powerful people don't like exposure, she observed grimly. They'll fight back with everything they have. Agent Morris is arranging additional security for us, Nathan assured her, and the FBI is expediting the process to release our house. We should be able to move back in within days. Martha nodded, though her expression remained troubled. It's not just physical danger I'm worried about. It's what happens when this becomes a media circus, which it will once those names become public. How do you shield Lily from that kind of exposure? It was a question Nathan had been wrestling with since the arrests. How could he protect Lily from the public's morbid fascination with her trauma? How could he give her a normal childhood when their family's tragedy was being dissected on every news channel and true crime podcast? The solution had been forming in his mind for days, crystallizing during the court hearing as he watched Amanda's performance of remorse. Now, he shared it with Martha. I'm considering a change of scenery. My parents left me their farm in Western Virginia, about 3 hours from here, near the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's been sitting empty since they passed. Small town, tight-knit community, good schools. He hesitated. I could request a transfer to the National Guard Bureau in Richmond, still serve but with a more predictable schedule. Sounds like you've given this some thought, Martha observed. Lily needs stability, routine, and a fresh start away from all these reminders, Nathan explained. And honestly, so do I. Every corner of that house holds memories of Amanda now. I don't want to raise my daughter in the shadow of what happened there. Martha smiled gently. I think it sounds like exactly what both of you need, though I must say I'll miss having you two around. You'll have to visit, Nathan insisted. We'll keep the guest room ready. Lily would be devastated to lose her Grandma Martha. The elderly teacher's eyes misted over. I'd like that very much. Their conversation was interrupted by a small sound from the doorway. Lily stood there in her pajamas, clutching Hope the bunny, her expression troubled. Nightmare again, sweetheart? Nathan asked, opening his arms. Lily shook her head as she climbed onto his lap. I heard you talking. Are we moving away? Nathan exchanged a glance with Martha. I was thinking about it. Would you like to see the farm where I grew up? It has apple trees and a creek for catching frogs and lots of room to play." Lily considered this carefully. Would we be far away from the bad people? Very far, Nathan assured her. And they're locked up anyway, remember? What about Dr. Jensen and Grandma Martha? Dr. Jensen could find us a new doctor just as good, Nathan explained, and Grandma Martha would visit us all the time. Right, Martha? Wild horses couldn't keep me away, Martha confirmed with a wink. Lily fell silent, processing this information with the serious consideration children often give to major life changes. Finally, she asked, "Would Mommy know where to find us, from heaven?" The question caught Nathan off guard, a reminder of how children processed loss and change. "Oh, Lily Pad, Mommy will always know where to find us. She's watching over you no matter where we go." Lily nodded, apparently satisfied with this answer. "Can I have a puppy at the farm?" Nathan laughed, the sound surprising him with its authenticity. "I think that could be arranged." As he carried Lily back to bed, tucking Hope securely beside her, Nathan felt the first stirrings of hope for their future. Not just survival, but the possibility of joy returning to their lives. The road ahead would still be difficult. The legal proceedings would drag on for months. Lily's healing would take years of patient support and professional help. But tonight, looking down at his daughter's face as she drifted back to sleep, Nathan allowed himself to imagine their new beginning. A farmhouse with wide porches and creaky wooden floors, apple trees and vegetable gardens, a loyal dog bounding across green fields, a small town where neighbors still looked out for each other, a place where Lily could slowly, gradually reclaim her childhood. It wouldn't erase what had happened. Nothing could do that. But perhaps, with enough time and love, they could build something new from the wreckage. A life defined not by trauma, but by resilience. Not by what they had lost, but by what they had fought to reclaim. Nathan bent to kiss Lily's forehead, whispering the words that had become their nightly ritual. Safe and sound, Lilypad, safe and sound. And for the first time he truly believed it might someday be true. The farmhouse stood silhouetted against the October sky, its weathered clapboards glowing amber in the late afternoon sun. 6 months had passed since Nathan and Lily had fled their suburban nightmare. 6 months of gradual healing in this sanctuary of rolling hills and whispering pines. Nathan leaned against the porch railing, watching Lily and her new chocolate Labrador puppy, Scout, play in the fallen leaves. His daughter's laughter, once so rare it had brought tears to his eyes, now rang out more frequently, a healing balm to his battered spirit. She was still in therapy, still had nightmares, still approached new people with caution. But day by day, moment by moment, she was reclaiming her childhood. "Dad, watch this," Lily called, demonstrating how she'd taught Scout to give her his paw. Her voice, once reduced to fearful whispers, had regained some of its former confidence, at least here in the safety of their new home. "Very impressive, Lilypad," Nathan called back, smiling at the pride on her face. The farmhouse had been a gift from the universe, or perhaps from his parents, who had maintained it meticulously despite living their final years in Florida. The property needed only minor updates to become the perfect refuge. 3 bedrooms, a spacious kitchen with windows overlooking the apple orchard, and best of all, no memories of Amanda lurking in its corners. The town of Riverdale had embraced them with the quiet acceptance that characterized rural communities. No prying questions, just casseroles left on the porch and offers of help with farm chores. Nathan's transfer to the National Guard Bureau in Richmond had been approved quickly, thanks to his exemplary service record and the discreet intervention of higher-ups who understood the situation. The new position required only 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks each summer, allowing him to be the present, consistent father Lily desperately needed. The sound of tires on gravel announced a visitor. Lily immediately tensed, her instinctive wariness of strangers not yet overcome, but relaxed when she recognized Martha Henderson's ancient Buick sedan. "Grandma Martha!" she shouted, running toward the car with Scout bounding alongside her. The elderly teacher had made good on her promise to visit regularly, making the 3-hour drive once a month, despite her arthritis. Martha emerged from the car with a basket of homemade cookies and the latest update on the case that had upended their lives. Though Nathan had worked hard to shield Lily from the ongoing legal proceedings, he remained deeply invested in seeing justice served. Martha had become his eyes and ears in Arlington, attending court dates and keeping him informed of developments he couldn't follow from a distance. "How's my favorite girl?" Martha exclaimed, embracing Lily. "And this handsome fellow must be Scout. My, how he's grown since my last visit." As Lily proudly demonstrated Scout's newly acquired tricks, Nathan helped Martha with her overnight bag. "How was the drive?" "These old bones don't love sitting that long, but the fall colors made it worthwhile." Martha lowered her voice. "I have news. We should talk after Lily's in bed." Nathan nodded, recognizing the gravity in her tone. Whatever developments had occurred, they weren't for Lily's ears. The evening passed pleasantly with Martha's famous chicken and dumplings, a board game that had Lily giggling at Martha's exaggerated reactions to losing, and a new chapter book about a girl who could talk to animals. By 8 o'clock, Lily was tucked into bed with Scout curled at her feet, a special privilege on Grandma Martha nights. When Nathan returned to the living room, Martha had already poured 2 glasses of bourbon, the amber liquid catching the firelight. "You're going to need this," she said, handing him a glass. Nathan settled into the armchair opposite her. "That bad?" Martha sighed heavily. "Eleanor Wells died yesterday. Heart failure, according to the official report, though there are whispers it wasn't entirely natural." "Given the names she exposed, I'm not surprised," Nathan replied grimly. Eleanor's confession had implicated a federal judge, 2 state representatives, and several prominent businessmen in the exploitation network. The scandal had rocked Washington's power structure, with new allegations emerging weekly as the investigation expanded. "That's not all," Martha continued. "Tyler accepted a plea deal, 25 years with possibility of parole after 15 in exchange for testifying against the remaining network members." Nathan took a long swallow of bourbon. "And Amanda?" Martha's expression softened with concern. "Her trial date is set for next month. Her attorney is still pursuing the mental defect defense, bringing in experts to testify about the psychological impact of her childhood trauma." "Do they have a case?" Nathan asked, dreading the answer. "It's complicated. The prosecution has the surveillance footage, the preparations for Lily's disappearance, the communication with Tyler, but Amanda's history is genuinely horrific." Martha hesitated. "There's something else. Amanda has been writing letters to Lily." Nathan straightened, alarm coursing through him. "Letters? How?" "She's not allowed contact. She sends them to her attorney, who forwards them to the prosecutor's office. They've been holding them, given the no-contact order, but legally they're required to inform you of their existence." Martha reached into her purse and withdrew an envelope. "The prosecutor asked me to give you this. It's not the letters themselves. Those remain secured unless you specifically request them. It's just notification that they exist." Nathan took the envelope but didn't open it. What does she want from a 6-year-old child? Hasn't she done enough damage? According to the prosecutor, the letters contain expressions of remorse, explanations of her behavior, and— Martha paused, choosing her words carefully. "Requests for forgiveness." "Forgiveness," Nathan repeated flatly. "She locked my daughter in closets, terrorized her, was planning to traffic her into God knows what situation, and she wants forgiveness." "I'm just the messenger," Martha reminded him gently. You don't have to decide anything tonight. The letters will remain secured until Lily turns 18, unless you request otherwise. Nathan placed the unopened envelope on the side table, unable to deal with its implications just yet. What about the others? The names Eleanor revealed? Mixed results. The federal judge resigned for health reasons, but hasn't been charged. One of the state representatives is fighting tooth and nail, claiming Eleanor was delusional. The other committed suicide last week. Martha sipped her bourbon. The FBI believes they've identified 37 children who were victimized, but only 11 families have agreed to cooperate with the investigation. The others are too afraid of the publicity or don't want their children to relive the trauma. I can understand that, Nathan admitted. He and Dr. Jensen had made the decision to keep Lily out of the legal proceedings as much as possible, submitting her drawings and recorded therapy sessions as evidence instead of subjecting her to direct testimony. What about the other children Amanda and Tyler targeted? The ones from Amanda's social media connections? 2 families have gone public, working with a victims' rights organization to push for stronger protections. The others have moved away like you did, seeking anonymity. Martha studied him over her glass. Which brings me to the other reason for my visit. Agent Morris contacted me yesterday. Amanda's attorney has filed a motion to compel Lily's testimony at trial. Nathan's grip tightened on his glass. Absolutely not. Dr. Jensen has been clear that forcing Lily to face Amanda could trigger a significant regression. The prosecution agrees. They're fighting the motion with expert testimony about childhood trauma. But Amanda's team argues that without direct testimony, they're being denied the right to confront their accuser. Lily is not the accuser. She's a victim, a child victim. The state is the accuser. I know that. The prosecutor knows that. But Amanda's attorney is pulling out all the stops. Martha leaned forward. There's a hearing next week to decide the matter. Agent Morris thought you might want to be there. Nathan stared into the fire, conflict warring within him. He had promised Lily stability, consistency. Returning to Arlington, even briefly, meant disrupting the careful routine they'd established. But if there was any chance Lily might be forced to testify, he needed to be present to fight it. I'll need to find someone to stay with Lily, he said finally. She can't miss school, and I don't want her anywhere near that courthouse. What about your neighbor, Mrs. Collins? Lily seems comfortable with her. Nathan nodded slowly. Caroline Collins, a retired nurse who lived down the road, had become Lily's piano teacher and occasional babysitter. She was one of the few adults outside family that Lily had allowed into her carefully guarded circle of trust. It could work, for a day or two. He rubbed his face wearily. I thought we were past this, Martha. I thought we could focus on healing instead of constantly looking over our shoulders. Martha's expression was sympathetic but realistic. Cases like this don't end cleanly, Nathan. There are too many powerful people involved, too many lives shattered. But this hearing could be the last major hurdle. Once the judge rules on this motion, the trial will proceed, with or without Lily's direct testimony. After Martha retired to the guest room, Nathan remained by the fire, the unopened envelope seeming to pulse with malevolent energy on the side table. Part of him wanted to throw it into the flames, to sever this last lingering connection to the woman who had nearly destroyed his daughter. But another part, the part trained to gather intelligence to understand the enemy, was grimly curious about what Amanda could possibly have to say. Eventually, he picked up the envelope and broke the seal. Inside was a simple notification from the prosecutor's office, confirming that 12 letters addressed to Lily Reed were being held in evidence. If he wished to review them or have them released to Lily, he would need to file a formal request with the court. 12 letters, one for each month since Amanda's arrest. The regularity was disturbing, suggesting an obsession rather than genuine remorse. Nathan returned the notification to its envelope and tucked it into the drawer of his desk, unwilling to make any decision tonight. Then he climbed the stairs to check on Lily, a ritual he performed every night no matter how exhausted he might be. She was sleeping peacefully, one arm thrown around Scout, the other clutching Hope the bunny. Her nightlight cast a soft glow across her face, illuminating the faint freckles across her nose, just like Grace's. On her bedside table sat a framed photograph of Grace holding newborn Lily, their first moment together captured forever. Nathan adjusted the blanket and pressed a gentle kiss to Lily's forehead. "Safe and sound, Lily Pad," he whispered, their nightly mantra. The following morning brought crisp autumn sunshine and the weekend chores that structured their farm life. Nathan split firewood, while Lily collected fallen apples from the orchard, Scout helpfully carrying one apple at a time in his gentle mouth. Martha moved between them, offering assistance and quiet conversation, her presence a stabilizing force. During lunch, Nathan broached the subject of his potential trip. "I need to go back to Arlington for a day or two next week, Lily Pad. Some grown-up business about the court case." Lily's fork paused halfway to her mouth, her expression immediately guarded. "Do I have to go too?" "No, sweetheart. You'll stay here with Mrs. Collins. She'll come stay at the house while I'm gone, and you'll go to school just like normal." Lily considered this arrangement, her brow furrowed. "Is it about her?" Nathan never lied to Lily, a promise he'd made to himself after the deception that had surrounded her for so long. "Yes, her lawyer is trying to make some changes to how the trial will work. I need to be there to make sure those changes don't happen." "Changes like making me talk to her?" Lily asked perceptively. Despite her young age, trauma had given her an uncanny ability to read between the lines of adult conversations. "Something like that," Nathan admitted. "But I won't let that happen, Lily. You don't have to see her or talk to her ever again if you don't want to." Lily was quiet for a moment, processing this information. Then she asked, "Did Grandma Martha bring a letter from her?" Nathan and Martha exchanged startled glances. "Why do you ask that, sweetheart?" Martha inquired gently. "Because she always writes letters. To the judge, to Dr. Jensen, to the nice police lady. Mrs. Morris told me." Lily picked at her sandwich. "She wants everyone to feel sorry for her." The simple observation, delivered with a child's blunt honesty, left both adults momentarily speechless. Nathan recovered first. "You're right, Lily. She has been writing letters, including some to you that have been kept at the courthouse. But you don't have to read them unless you want to, and not until you're much older." Lily nodded, accepting this information with the same gravity she'd shown toward other difficult truths. "I don't want to read them. Not now. Not ever." "That's completely your choice," Nathan assured her. Later, as Nathan and Martha washed the lunch dishes, the elderly teacher remarked, "She's more aware than we give her credit for. Dr. Jensen says that's common with trauma survivors, especially children. They become hypervigilant, always monitoring the emotional temperature around them." Nathan dried a plate with more force than necessary. "I hate that she's had to develop that skill. She should be thinking about Halloween costumes and favorite games, not courtroom strategies." "Children are remarkably resilient," Martha observed. "Look how far she's come in 6 months. The nightmares are less frequent. She's making friends at school. She's bonded with Scout. Those are all significant victories." Nathan's response was interrupted by the ringing of his phone, Agent Morris's number flashing on the screen. He answered with trepidation, stepping onto the porch for privacy. "Major Reed," Morris began without preamble, "there's been a development. Amanda attempted suicide in her cell last night." Nathan felt an uncomfortable jolt of conflicting emotions, shock, concern, and beneath those a shameful flicker of hope that she might have succeeded. "Is she?" "She survived. She's under psychiatric observation at the secure ward of Fairfax Hospital. Morris paused. Before she made the attempt, she gave her cellmate a letter to pass to her attorney. It's a full confession, Nathan. No deflection, no blaming Eleanor or Tyler, no mental health defense. She admits everything, targeting you for access to Lily, the abuse, the coordination with Tyler, the plans to send Lily away permanently. Why? Nathan asked, unable to reconcile this development with Amanda's previous legal strategy. Why confess now? According to her attorney, after Eleanor's death and Tyler's plea deal, she realized the network was crumbling. She claims she wants to do one right thing before... Morris hesitated. Well, before she tried to end her life. Does this change the motion to compel Lily's testimony? That's why I'm calling. The motion has been withdrawn. Amanda has instructed her attorney to enter a guilty plea to all charges at next week's hearing. If the judge accepts the plea, there won't be a trial at all. Nathan leaned against the porch railing, legs suddenly unsteady. What does this mean for Lily? It means closure, legally speaking. Amanda will still be sentenced, likely to 15 to 20 years. But Lily won't have to testify, won't have to relive her trauma in a courtroom, won't have to face Amanda ever again unless she chooses to. After ending the call, Nathan remained on the porch, watching Lily and Scout play in the fallen leaves. The news should have brought relief, and part of him did feel lighter knowing Lily would be spared the potential trauma of courtroom involvement. But another part felt strangely hollow, as if denied the catharsis of a public reckoning. Martha joined him, reading his expression with her perceptive gaze. What happened? Amanda attempted suicide. She survived, but she's confessed to everything and plans to plead guilty. No trial. Martha absorbed this information silently before responding. How do you feel about that? I don't know, Nathan admitted. Relieved for Lily's sake, but also... He struggled to articulate the complex emotions churning within him. Cheated of your day in court? Martha suggested gently. Denied the chance to see her publicly held accountable? Something like that. Is that terrible of me? It's human, Martha assured him. You wanted justice, not just a quiet resolution. You wanted the world to acknowledge what was done to your daughter. She patted his arm. But remember, Nathan, the true victory isn't what happens to Amanda, it's what happens for Lily. And a future free from courtrooms and testimony is a gift, no matter how it came about. Nathan nodded, knowing she was right. As he watched Lily running with Scout, her face alight with simple joy, he recognized that this outcome, however unsatisfying it might feel to his sense of justice, was indeed what was best for her. Martha followed his gaze to Lily. You know, when I first met you both after your return, I worried if recovery was possible. The trauma seemed so deep, the betrayal so profound. But looking at her now, she smiled, eyes misting slightly. Children teach us about resilience every day if we're wise enough to learn from them. In the yard, Lily had stopped running and was looking up at them, her face questioning. Dad? Is everything okay? Nathan forced a smile. Everything's fine, Lilypad. Just grown-up talk. She studied him for a moment, that preternatural awareness scanning his expression. Then, apparently satisfied, she returned to her game with Scout. Later that evening, after Lily was asleep, Nathan retreated to his study with the folder of case documents Martha had brought. Police reports, psychiatric evaluations, witness statements. Among them was a sealed envelope marked simply, Read Personal. Amanda's attorney asked me to give you this, Martha explained when he held it up questioningly. It's separate from the letters to Lily. This one is addressed to you, specifically. Nathan stared at the envelope, uncertain whether to open it or burn it unread. What could Amanda possibly say to him that would matter now? You don't have to read it, Martha observed from the doorway. No one would blame you for throwing it away. Would you read it? Nathan asked, needing an objective perspective. Martha considered the question carefully. I might, not for her sake, but for mine. Sometimes understanding the monster under the bed makes it less frightening in the long run. After she retired to the guest room, Nathan sat at his desk for a long time, the unopened letter before him like a ticking bomb. Finally, decision made, he broke the seal and unfolded the pages covered in Amanda's precise handwriting. Nathan, it began without preamble. By the time you read this, I will have confessed to everything. No more lies, no more manipulation, no more hiding behind childhood trauma or Eleanor's influence. The truth is simpler and more terrible. I knew what I was doing was wrong and I did it anyway. The letter continued for several pages, a detailed account of how she had targeted him after seeing Lily's photograph in a military family support group, how she had researched his interests to make herself appealing, how she had calculated every step of their relationship to gain access to Lily. She described her abuse of Lily in clinical detail, neither minimizing nor sensationalizing the harm she had caused. I won't ask for your forgiveness, she wrote toward the end. That would be another manipulation, another burden placed on innocent shoulders. What I did to Lily was unforgivable. What I did to you, using your grief, your loneliness, your desire to rebuild a family, was equally unforgivable. I'm not writing to ease my conscience or to explain away my actions. I'm writing because you deserve the truth, however painful. I'm writing because someday Lily might have questions that only I can answer, and I want those answers to be honest, not shrouded in legal maneuvering or psychological justifications. The only true thing I can offer now is this: it wasn't your fault. There were no signs you missed, no warnings you ignored. People like me, people damaged in the specific ways I was damaged, become skilled at presenting exactly what others want to see. You wanted a loving wife for yourself and a caring mother for Lily. I showed you that perfect image while hiding the reality. I am choosing to plead guilty because it is the only honest thing left for me to do. Lily should never have to set foot in a courtroom or speak about what I did to her. That at least I can spare her. The letter ended simply. I'm sorry, though those words mean nothing. Amanda. Nathan set the pages down, emotions churning. The clinical detachment of her confession was almost more disturbing than rage or self-pity would have been. The Amanda who wrote this letter was neither the charming woman he had married nor the cold abuser caught on surveillance footage. She was something else entirely. Lucid, resigned, stripped of pretense. He placed the letter back in its envelope and locked it in his desk drawer alongside the notification about Lily's letters. Someday, perhaps, these documents would serve a purpose, helping Lily understand what had happened to her, providing answers to questions not yet formed. For now, they would remain sealed away, their poison contained. Nathan stepped out onto the porch, breathing in the crisp autumn air scented with pine and wood smoke. Above, stars punctured the velvet darkness, the same stars that had guided him through desert nights overseas, that had watched over Grace in her final days, that now witnessed this new chapter in their lives. In the distance, an owl called, its lonely voice echoing across the valley. From Lily's room came the soft, snuffling sounds of Scout dreaming doggy dreams, life continuing, moving forward despite the wounds of the past. Tomorrow, Nathan would tell Lily that she wouldn't have to worry about the court case anymore. Tomorrow, they would continue building their new life in this place of healing. Tomorrow held promise, possibility, hope. For tonight, that was enough. Spring arrived at Reed Farm in a riot of color, daffodils dotting the rolling meadows, cherry blossoms frosting the lane, and tender green leaves unfurling on the ancient oak that guarded the farmhouse. 1 year had passed since the nightmare in Arlington. 1 year of healing, rebuilding, and slow but steady progress toward a new normal. Nathan stood at the kitchen window, coffee mug in hand, watching Lily help Mrs. Collins plant tomato seedlings in the newly turned garden. At 7, his daughter had grown taller, her blonde hair now long enough for the braids she preferred. Scout, no longer a puppy but a gangly adolescent dog, bounded around them, occasionally digging inappropriate holes that earned him gentle scolding. The changes in Lily went far deeper than physical growth. Dr. Melissa Kingsley, the child psychologist they'd found in Richmond, had marveled at Lily's resilience during their now monthly sessions. The nightmares that had once plagued her nightly now came only occasionally, usually triggered by specific events, the anniversary of Amanda's arrest, unexpected visitors, or the rare moments when Lily caught a glimpse of news coverage about the ongoing prosecutions of the network Eleanor had exposed. "She's healing," Dr. Kingsley had assured Nathan during their last parent consultation. "Not forgetting. Children don't forget trauma. But integrating those experiences into her understanding of the world in a way that allows her to move forward." The evidence was visible in 100 small ways. Lily's willingness to attend a classmate's birthday party, her participation in the school spring concert, the gradual expansion of her safe people circle beyond Nathan, Martha, and Mrs. Collins. Most significantly, her voice had returned completely, though she still fell silent around strangers or in unfamiliar situations. Nathan's phone chimed with a text message from Detective Conroy. "Sentencing today? Thought you'd want to know." Nathan had deliberately avoided following the daily developments of Amanda's case, receiving updates only from Conroy or Agent Morris when significant milestones approached. He knew she had pleaded guilty to all charges, as promised. He knew the sentencing hearing had been delayed twice, once for additional psychiatric evaluation, once due to a medical issue related to her suicide attempt. Now, finally, it had arrived. He typed back a simple acknowledgement, then slipped the phone into his pocket without mentioning it to Lily. They had established a careful balance, answering her questions honestly when she asked, but not volunteering information about the case that might disrupt her healing process. Dr. Kingsley had approved this approach, emphasizing that Lily needed to feel in control of how much she engaged with her traumatic past. The sentencing wouldn't change their daily reality. Amanda would go to prison as she had been in pre-trial detention for the past year. Tyler was already serving his 25-year sentence at a federal facility in Colorado. Eleanor was dead, her secrets continuing to unravel a network that extended further than anyone had initially suspected. 3 more arrests had been made based on her deathbed confession, including a senior official at the Department of Children's Services who had helped bury complaints about Sunnyvale Academy. Justice was being served, however imperfectly. But Nathan had come to understand that justice and healing operated on separate timelines. The legal system could punish Amanda, but it couldn't erase Lily's trauma or restore the innocent trust she had lost. That work happened here, in small moments of safety and connection, in the patient rebuilding of a life worthy of his daughter's resilience. The sound of the screen door slapping against its frame announced Lily's return. "Dad, Mrs. Collins says the tomatoes will be ready in August. Can we make spaghetti sauce like Grandma Martha showed us?" "Absolutely," Nathan replied, tucking away thoughts of courtrooms and sentencing hearings. "We'll can enough to last all winter. And give some to Mrs. Collins and Dr. Kingsley and Principal Edwards," Lily continued, washing soil from her hands at the kitchen sink. "Anyone you want," Nathan assured her, marveling at her generous spirit, still intact despite everything she had endured. Mrs. Collins appeared in the doorway, her weathered face flushed with exertion. At 68, the retired nurse had become an unexpected blessing in their lives, not replacing Martha, who still visited monthly, but providing daily support as their closest neighbor and Lily's after-school caregiver when Nathan's guard duties required his absence. "That garden's going to be spectacular this year," she declared, accepting the glass of lemonade Nathan offered. "Lily's got a green thumb just like my Caroline did." The mention of her late daughter, lost to cancer in her 30s, carried no bitterness now, though Nathan knew the grief had once nearly destroyed her. Perhaps that shared experience of loss had initially drawn Mrs. Collins to them. Perhaps it explained her intuitive understanding of Lily's needs. "Dad, can we have a picnic by the creek today, since it's Saturday?" Lily asked, already gathering supplies from the pantry with the confidence of a child who expects her reasonable requests to be granted. "Great idea," Nathan agreed. "I'll make sandwiches while you finish helping Mrs. Collins." As they worked together in comfortable domesticity, Nathan reflected on how far they had come from those first terrible days after Amanda's arrest. The farmhouse had transformed from a refuge into a true home filled with new memories that gradually outweighed the shadows of the past. Lily's artwork covered the refrigerator. Scout's toys littered the living room floor. Photos of their new life, Lily riding her bike, Nathan teaching her to fish, both of them with Martha and Mrs. Collins at Thanksgiving, stood alongside treasured images of grace. They had not erased the past, but built around it, incorporating those painful chapters into a larger, more hopeful story. The picnic by the creek became a perfect spring afternoon. Warm sunshine, cool water for Scout to splash in, and Lily's increasingly confident voice as she read aloud from her favorite book. Watching her, Nathan felt the familiar mixture of pride and lingering sorrow that colored his parenting. Pride in her strength, sorrow for the innocence she had lost too soon. His phone vibrated in his pocket. Another message from Conroy. 20 years, no possibility of parole for 15 maximum security. Thought you should know before it hits the news. 20 years. Amanda would be in her 50s before she had any chance of release. Lily would be a grown woman, possibly with a family of her own. The mathematical reality of the sentence hit Nathan with unexpected force. Not because it seemed too harsh, but because it somehow felt simultaneously inadequate and excessive. No prison term, however long, could truly compensate for what Amanda had done. Yet the thought of her spending 2 decades behind bars brought Nathan no particular satisfaction, just a hollow sense of completion. "Dad, you're making your serious face," Lily observed, setting down her book. "Is something wrong?" Nathan considered how to respond, weighing honesty against protection. "I just got some news about Amanda's case," he said finally, using the name they had agreed upon in therapy. Never your stepmom or my wife, just Amanda, reducing her to an individual separate from their family. Lily's expression grew watchful, but not fearful. "What news?" "The judge decided how long she'll stay in prison. 20 years. Lily considered this information with the gravity that still sometimes startled Nathan, coming from such a young child. "That's a really long time." "Yes, it is." "Will I be grown up when she gets out?" "Very grown up," Nathan confirmed. "You'll be around my age now." Lily nodded, processing this. Then, with the direct simplicity of childhood, "Good. I don't want to see her until I'm big enough that she can't hurt me anymore." The statement revealed both ongoing fear and growing confidence, an acknowledgement of vulnerability coupled with belief in her future strength. Nathan recognized it as progress, hard-won and precious. "You won't have to see her at all if you don't want to, Lilypad. Not when you're 7, not when you're 27. Lily seemed satisfied with this assurance and returned to her book. The matter settled in her mind for now. Nathan envied her ability to compartmentalize, to acknowledge difficult realities, and then set them aside to enjoy the present moment, a skill Dr. Kingsley had worked hard to help her develop. That evening, after Lily was asleep, Nathan sat on the porch with a glass of bourbon, as had become his custom on significant days. The spring air carried the scent of lilacs from the ancient bush beside the steps, planted by his grandmother decades ago. Fireflies had begun to appear, their intermittent glow punctuating the gathering darkness like earthbound stars. His phone rang, Martha calling from Arlington as she did every Saturday night. "I saw the news," she said without preamble. 20 years. "Conroy texted me earlier," Nathan confirmed. "Lily took it pretty well when I told her." "You told her? Directly?" "Dr. Kingsley thinks it's important that information about the case comes from me, not from overheard conversations or snippets on TV. Keeps it contained, controlled." Martha made a sound of approval. "Smart woman, that doctor of yours. How's our girl doing otherwise?" "Better every day. She's reading at a third-grade level now, despite everything. And she's made a true friend at school, Emma, the sheriff's daughter. They have sleepovers sometimes." "Sleepovers! Now that is progress." Martha's voice carried genuine delight. "And what about you, Nathan? How are you processing today's news?" Nathan considered the question seriously, as he always did when Martha asked about his well-being. "Honestly, I thought I'd feel more something. Relief, satisfaction, closure. But it's just another day. Amanda doesn't have the power to affect our lives anymore, regardless of her sentence." "That, my dear, is the definition of healing," Martha observed. "When the person who hurt you becomes irrelevant to your daily happiness." After they hung up, Nathan remained on the porch contemplating Martha's words. She was right. Amanda had become increasingly peripheral to their lives, fading from immediate threat to background shadow to historical footnote. The power she had once held over them had diminished not through justice or punishment, but through the steady accumulation of new experiences, new relationships, new moments of joy that gradually outweighed the trauma she had inflicted. A soft noise from inside the house caught his attention. Lily's footsteps on the stairs. She appeared in the doorway, Scout at her heels, her hair tousled from sleep. "Nightmare?" Nathan asked gently. Lily shook her head. "No. Just woke up and wanted to make sure you were okay." The role reversal, child checking on parent rather than the opposite, was both touching and concerning. Dr. Kingsley had warned about Lily's tendency toward hypervigilance, her need to monitor the emotional states of adults around her, a common adaptation in children who had experienced unpredictable caregiving. "I'm fine, Lily Pad, just enjoying the night air. Want to join me for a few minutes?" Lily nodded, settling beside him on the porch swing, Scout curling at their feet. Above them, the vast tapestry of stars stretched across the rural sky, undiminished by city lights. "Dad?" Lily said after a comfortable silence. "Is it okay if I feel a little sad sometimes about Amanda, even though she was bad to me?" The question caught Nathan off guard, though Dr. Kingsley had prepared him for the complex, often contradictory emotions children might experience toward abusive caregivers. "Of course it's okay," he assured her. "Feelings are never wrong, Lily, even complicated ones. Sometimes I remember when she was nice," Lily continued hesitantly. "Before you went away, she made heart-shaped pancakes and helped me build a fairy house in the backyard. Was that real, or did I make it up?" "It was real," Nathan confirmed, maintaining the absolute honesty he had promised her. "Amanda was nice sometimes. People who hurt others aren't monsters all the time. That's what makes it so confusing." Lily considered this. "Dr. Kingsley says it's like weather. Some people are mostly sunny with a few storms. Some people are mostly stormy with a little sunshine. Amanda was mostly stormy." "That's a good way of thinking about it," Nathan agreed, impressed once again by Dr. Kingsley's ability to translate complex concepts into child-friendly metaphors. I think I got confused because I missed Mom, and then Amanda came, and sometimes she seemed like she could be a mom too, but she wasn't. Not really. Lily's voice had grown quieter, more reflective. Real moms don't hurt kids, even when they're mad. Nathan pulled her closer, heart aching at her precocious understanding. That's right. Real moms and dads might get angry or frustrated, but they don't hurt the people they love. Like you, Lily said with simple certainty. You get mad sometimes when I forget to pick up my toys or when Scout digs in the garden, but you never hurt us. And I never will, Nathan promised, the vow as serious as any he had made in uniform. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching fireflies dance across the yard, until Lily's eyelids began to droop. Nathan carried her back to bed, tucking Scout in beside her as had become their ritual. "Safe and sound, Lily Pad," he whispered, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Safe and sound, Daddy," she murmured back, the call and response that had evolved from his original reassurance. In his own room, Nathan opened the drawer of his bedside table and removed a leather-bound journal, Grace's last gift to him before her death. He had started writing in it 6 months ago, at Dr. Kingsley's suggestion, recording not just the dark chapters of their journey, but also the moments of light. Lily's first day of first grade at Riverdale Elementary, her solo in the Christmas pageant, the day she finally swam across the creek without water wings, the afternoon she fell from her bike and, instead of shutting down in fear, allowed him to comfort her tears. These were the stories that would shape her future, far more than the trauma that had nearly derailed her childhood. These were the memories Nathan was determined would define her life, not the shadows of Arlington. On a fresh page, he wrote the date and a simple entry. Amanda sentenced to 20 years today. Lily asked if she could feel sad sometimes about the good moments, showing emotional wisdom beyond her years. We watched fireflies from the porch swing and talked about real love versus false love. Another step forward on our journey. He closed the journal and placed it back in the drawer, next to the still-sealed envelope containing notification of Amanda's letters to Lily. Someday, perhaps, when Lily was older and stronger, she might want to read those letters. Someday she might have questions only Amanda could answer. But that day was far in the future. For now they had fireflies and creek picnics, tomato seedlings and bedtime stories. They had Scout's exuberant affection and Mrs. Collins's steady presence, Martha's monthly visits, and Dr. Kingsley's gentle guidance. They had each other, father and daughter, survivors together, building something beautiful from the wreckage of betrayal. Outside, a gentle spring rain began to fall, tapping a soothing rhythm on the farmhouse roof. Nathan closed his eyes, listening to the familiar creaks and sighs of the old house settling. After a lifetime of military vigilance and a year of hyper-awareness to danger, he had finally relearned how to rest, how to trust in the security of the home they had created. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new growth, new opportunities for healing. But tonight, in this moment, all was well. His daughter slept peacefully down the hall. The shadows of the past had been named, faced, and contained. The future stretched before them, not unmarked by their experiences, but no longer defined by them either. Nathan drifted toward sleep with a sense of profound gratitude, not for justice served in a distant courtroom, but for the quiet miracle of ordinary days, for Lily's resilient spirit, for second chances and new beginnings, for the simple, extraordinary gift of a little girl crying, "Daddy," as she raced to meet him after school, no longer afraid, no longer silent, her voice reclaimed along with her childhood, safe and sound at last. In a world where family bonds are increasingly fragile, this story reminds us what truly matters. Remember when neighborhoods watched out for each other's children? when a handshake meant something. Nathan and Lily's journey from darkness to healing echoes our own life struggles. Different circumstances, perhaps, but the same human resilience. As we reach our golden years, many of us carry burdens of regret, loss, or pain that our younger selves couldn't imagine. Yet, like Nathan, we discover that healing doesn't require forgetting. It means building something new around the scars. That farmhouse with its ancient oak tree, Martha's wisdom, and little Lily's brave heart represent the America we remember and still believe in, where communities rally around the wounded, where second chances aren't just possible but beautiful, where a child's laughter by a creek matters more than any courtroom verdict. What childhood memory brings you the same peace that Nathan finds watching fireflies with Lily? And if you could share one piece of wisdom with a young parent facing difficulties today, what would it be? Your stories matter. Please share them below. We're all part of this human journey together.